Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here. Happy New Year and welcome to my review for the Book of Boba Fett series premiere. First off, it was amazing. It was really good. I sadly do not have the Black Series Mandalorian, or not Mandalorian, Boba Fett helmet. I don't actually want it, but here's a Mandalorian helmet, and obviously I got the Terminator Boba Fett t-shirt. This is honestly one of my favorite mashup shirts. I love this thing. So, getting right into it. Great premiere. I really like what they're doing with it. We start off. So this is something that I have to mention. Also, I have to mention this before we get into everything. I'm coming off of a cold, so I'm going to be coughing a lot, and I'm going to be drinking what little bit of juice I have. Every time my throat gets dry, this is like I think, fourth or fifth video I've done today as well. Like, I've been putting everything together because it's the first time I've had time in, like, weeks, I guess, to do any videos. So, I'm going to have a lot of issues where I'm coughing. I'm going to have a lot of dry throat. If you watch any of my videos that get uploaded today, you will see that quite a bit. I'm drinking water. I'm drinking juice. That's just how it is. I'm coming off a cold. But today is the only day I got. So, I'm just letting you guys know that before we get into it. But, I love this first episode. It was really good. And the first thing we get is a flashback to Clone Wars. And I was like, huh, okay. So, we get flashbacks to that. We got way, way back flashbacks. And then the other half of the story was like more recent flashbacks with him on Tatooine and stuff. And it was like, okay. There's an interesting little bit of flashback time between the way, way back and the more recent back. Like right up in this space here. I think we're going to get flashbacks that are going to have, if I'm not mistaken, his name is Daniel Logan, who was young Boba Fett. He still does Star Wars stuff. He still plays Boba Fett, like in Clone Wars. I think he was in an episode of Rebels or somewhere. I think he was in Rebels, if I'm not mistaken. He still plays him as the voice actor, and I was like, I talked about this, months ago with a coworker of mine, where we were like, what if they do flashbacks? What if there's, they could introduce literally anything they want? People are flipping out. Obviously, Master Rebo came back. I thought that was so funny reading a bunch of tweets like the king is back and all this other stuff. But going through, like we were talking about, and it was like, well, they can introduce any villain they want. Anybody could have a connection to Boba Fett before he became the new ruler, right? Anybody could come in and be like, I have an issue with you, or this gang has an issue. Like, it's Boba Fett. He could easily run amok, several gangs and survive. And then they're like, okay, when we find him, he's dead. They could easily do that and be like, all right, well, let's have flashbacks. And then they could have Daniel Logan be young Boba Fett, not young Boba, not as young anymore. Obviously, adult Boba Fett, early 20s Boba Fett and stuff, or early 30s. I don't know how old Daniel Logan is, but I'm like, okay, they could do that, and I feel like they might. I don't think that our whole setting for this series is going to be, rough, coarse, and irritating, if you know what I'm saying. So we might either travel to other places or the flashbacks at the very least, if we get more, which I think we will, of those like early 20s, early to mid 20s Boba Fett. I think that's what we're gonna get. I honestly believe even if we don't, I'm sure it'll be perfectly fine. It'll be a great series. But as soon as they started with that, I was like, we know Jango Fett died. We already we know the deal with that and stuff. We see the Starlight Pit, fantastic. Really interesting video that I just saw, by the way, on TikTok, where somebody showed, it was Patton Oswalt from Parks and Recreation, and he just happened to talk about, what if they do a live action thing with Boba Fett or whatever coming out of the Starlight Pit, and it's like, you see the wreckage of Jabba's barge, and you slowly pan down, and a hand bursts through the sand. And it was like, that does fit perfectly to what they did in this opening. So I don't know if they were actually referencing Boba Fett because they're giant nerds, and Patton Oswalt is obviously a giant nerd, and they were like, what if we actually did that just because he made that reference and somebody remembered that, and that's why they did that opening. Like, you can find the TikTok, but I was like, that's interesting. That literally was perfect. Like, as he describes it, the person did like picture. And I was like, that's really cool. I feel like that's almost intentional. Like, just the way it fits so perfectly was really weird. And I was like, I kind of love that. So that was cool. But way, way back flashbacks, more recent flashbacks, him being with the Tusken Raiders. And we get to find out, how he had got the gaffy stick and the outfit and everything like that, and why he was basically dressed that way. So that was super cool. I like the way they handled all of that stuff, and him kind of going through and being a prisoner. The one dude basically riding him out is like, dude, shut up. We both could have escaped, and now he's dead, and that's what he gets. It's like, we both could have been free, But you wanted to rat me out like a douchebag, and now look what happens. You gotta fight, Centauro from Mortal Kombat, and you get killed. So, that's what happens. But great action throughout the episode. They had a sequence that I really love. So, for people who don't know this, Star Wars is very based on a lot of samurai films and things like that. That's where lightsabers come from and all that stuff. That's why we had, Star Wars Visions, because it's like it allowed people to really tap into the, Japanese style for Star Wars, which is literally what it's based on. And as you could probably imagine, being named Invisiblekatana and having all my katanas kind of back there, I like samurai stuff. And there was a moment that was full on a samurai moment. Like, a lot of people probably wouldn't know this because it's just like, it was just a random thing that happened where he's getting dressed. When he's getting dressed and the robots are like putting all of the stuff on him and he's not moving, that is a very samurai thing. That is like when a samurai leader goes out to battle, they don't put their clothes, you can't put your clothes on because it's literally so much stuff, like you cannot put your own clothes on anyway. But they get dressed up, like they are dressed up by their servants, and then they go out to battle as, after their armor is put onto them. Like everything from like basically the pajamas all the way up, every layer of clothing is put on you, and you just hold your arms out and stuff like that. Great experience. If you're ever in Japan, samurai photo shoot, that's literally what they do for you. So I had that experience, and they told me like that's exactly how it was done. So when they did that scene, I was like, that's super cool. That's definitely like a shogun, kind of going out to battle and stuff, being dressed up by his servants. And I was like, that's really cool. And then they call him like the daimyo and stuff. They changed it. It was a different word, but I'm like, that's totally referencing like, shogunate type stuff, like the daimyo and things like that. And I was like, that's super cool. I think they used something super close, but it was like technically different. But I love that. I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I personally, I just really appreciate that, because I was like, that's definitely a like very samurai moment that they did for him, and I thought it was super cool. But he goes, he sits in his throne chair. I was trying to think of it right now, but he sits in his throne chair, and or sits on the throne chair. He sits on his throne, and so everybody comes in. Hey, here you go. Here's tribute. I used to work for the guy. This is kind of weird. It's weirder for him. Excuse me. Here's my tribute. And then the mayor's guy comes in, and he's just like, hey guys, what's up? And I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna live. He does, because of course, Boba's like, he works for the mayor. Let's leave him alone. But I love that interaction where he's like, sorry, but like, I'm expecting tribute, for the mayor. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna let you live. And that's pretty much my tribute. And it's like, right. Okay. So that was an interesting interaction, and I'm very curious about what's going to happen with this whole mayor situation. So I really enjoyed that, because I was like, okay, this seems to be the first person that's going to be like an actual issue for him. He's also the mayor, so he's like, I don't want them swarming me. We're just going to start. It's literally like, it's a duo at this point. Like, it's me and you, and then they bring the guards in, which is super cool because they're the same dudes from Return of the Jedi. And it was like, okay, if I spare your lives, will you be loyal to me? Which they prove is true. And so, like, we got a quartet. You probably still shouldn't be going up against the mayor, considering what he can do. Like, you got 3 other people, like, all capable, but that's still only 4 people, which was proven to be a bit of an issue when you only got 4, when you get surrounded by people who have shields and they're parkour ninjas running all over that place. Great moment at the end. I thought it was really cool. I like that action sequence. They're going through, and it's like, I don't need to, he's trying to be a different king. And I thought it was interesting. They had it in, I think the trailer before last, or maybe 2 or 3 trailers ago, where he was basically like, when they first do the line of like, Jabba ruled with fear, I want to rule with respect. And it's like, he talks about the stuff like, speak freely and things like that. So he's trying to do it differently, but I think we all know, like, it's going to get to a point where he's like, look, I'm trying to do it with respect because I don't need to whoop everybody's ass. I'm trying to be nice. And I feel like he's going to get to a point where he's like, I was trying to be so nice to everybody. I already did my thing. I killed one guy. That's all it takes, really. You give me tribute. I'm like, cool. You put your money, in my helmet like you should. Everything's fine. Businesses are good. Everything's going to be good. And somebody's going to do something. And I don't know if it's going to be someone from the past. It might be the mayor. Whoever this third party is, if they are not involved with the mayor, which I would assume they're not, but whoever the parkour folks are, somebody's going to F up. And Boba Fett's not going to be so nice anymore because he's trying to do that respect thing. And he's like, okay. And they even reference it because Fennec is like, sometimes, fear kind of begets respect. I forgot her exact line, but it was something along those lines of like, sometimes fear is kind of the way to go. Like sometimes you got to be a little violent for people to just kind of sit down and show you that respect that you deserve. So I think it's going to be interesting going forward because somebody's gonna do something, and he's gonna be like old school Boba Fett, like he was going freelance, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and kill a bunch of people, and then we'll see what happens after that, because I'm not dying, but you might. And I feel like it might be a couple episodes, I'm not sure how long this season is, but I'm like, it might take like halfway through, and then we get like that peak moment, and somebody's gonna F up, and he's gonna be like, okay, everybody's dead now. I feel like that's where we're headed, honestly. I think he's going to do the respectful thing for as long as he can, but there's always that one person that's just like, no. And he's going to be like, okay, I'm going to have to show you then. And that should be very interesting. But I love the action. I like the half and half story, like actually seeing him deal with, getting out of the Sarlacc pit and all that stuff. And the Jawas just came in, and it was like, oh, wow, that's effed up. Like, the dude is just alive. And it was... Okay then. That is what it is. And they just took his clothes right off of him. Like, well, that's something. That's effed up. But then he ends up, of course, with the Tusken Raiders, and then he goes through all that situation and stuff. And it was really entertaining. Then he fights the creature at the end. And then it's like, all right, so he helped save the kid, and he still came back. And so then the leader kind of just hands him the little gourd, I guess, if you want to call it. Drinks some water, and now he's a part of, the Tusken Raider people. So I thought that was a really cool way to end it. I was mad. I was mad that it ended. I was like, crap, this is the ending. And then it went off. But definitely a great episode. Once again, they just like The Mandalorian, they have the concept art, which I thought was really cool. So I enjoyed that. All in all, though, it was a really good first episode. I'm very excited to see how this show does continue to kind of move forward. Like, what answers are we going to get from, like the ninja, the parkour guy at the end of the episode, which was also a great moment when Fennec was chasing him. And I'm like, even in my head before she did, I was like, she only needs one, and it's kind of hard to take in both. And so she just kicks the dude out the building, and is like, all right, it's you're the hostage, this guy's dead now. And I was like, that is the easy way to do it, because I don't know how she was gonna take them both hostage, but she's like, I'm gonna just make this easy. Boom, you're dead, you're coming with me. So we're going to get some answers to something. I would assume this has nothing to do with the mayor, and it's going to be just another party that's like, all right, well, if Bib is gone, you're trying to come in, but I'd rather, do it myself and, get rid of you. So I think that's a part of the answer we're going to get in next week's episode, but definitely enjoy the premiere. Of course, I would love to know what you guys thought about it. Of course, I want to know your thoughts on where you think it might be headed, who you think we might end up seeing. Obviously, we got the reference of, like I said, King, Max Rebo in the band. I would love to know what you guys think, though. I never really went into this with any sort of expectations. I was honestly just, like, I didn't even think of theories or anything like that outside of maybe we'll get flashbacks of him pre-original trilogy, in between the trilogies, I should say. So that's the only thing I ever really thought of, and it's like, all right, well, aside from that, it could just be, introduce just random new characters, other bounty hunters. They are doing the bounty hunter. Well, I don't know if that concluded or not. I hadn't looked into it in a minute, but they were doing like the bounty hunter wars in the comic book. I think pretty much like around the end of Mandalorian season 2. They can kind of tap into that, and it's like a resurgence of that. It could even tie directly into it if some people lived from that comic that he kind of interacted with. They could totally do that. But I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what we're gonna see. Like I said, I don't have really any expectations outside of it's going to be awesome. That's all I care about. Like, it could be characters that don't tie into, like, I don't really need that. Like, most people I don't think need it. Where it's like, oh, this character ties into this movie or that. It could be all new people as long as they are crazy and violent. And Boba Fett has to be like, all right, let's team up and just wipe everybody out. Great action sequence, great story. Him, trying to rule, but not, he's ruling, but not too much. He's still trying to do the underground thing. He's not trying to, like, take over the whole city, wipe out the mayor, and, be the king or anything crazy. It's like, look, I'm just taking over this underground segment right over here. That's all I need to do. Everybody else, leave me alone. So I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, would love to know your thoughts on the premiere, and of course your thoughts and theories on where things might be headed. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.